So let me show you one example here. For example, the idea is, let's suppose, for example, that I have to create this connection here. Okay, this connection is made by this pink bin, that green bin, and this blue column. Okay, it was created before. Okay, it's a very simple connection. Let's suppose it's already sized, it's already analyzed, it's perfect, and we can see that the connection was created because we can see this symbol, this parameter here, this purple parameter here, and if we click here, okay, we can open the CYPE Connect actually, okay, the modeler from CYPE Connect, and here we can see all the operations that were necessary to model this connection. Okay, one thing that is not new, but maybe some of you don't know yet, it's the option that we have to export this list of operations. It means the steps that were necessary to model this connection to connections library. So if I click here, I can add a name for that. Let's suppose this is my connection, okay, or my connection. I will put like this, corner, or my connection. I will add a name to this list of operations, or to this connection, and it will be exported to my library. If I click here, I can navigate in the list of different connections that I have been creating before, for different types of sections, different types of structures with different dimensions, okay, different number of bars, and I can see that my connection is created here. Okay, this is not new. Okay, I'm just introducing the new feature. Okay, but maybe for some of you this is new because maybe you are starting with the software now. The idea is, if I have a similar node in another part of my structure, then I will just open this 3D this space to model the connection, and then import from the library one connection that is similar. Okay, this is the context. All right, this is already done. Maybe it's analyzed. We also have our documents. We maybe must go to another connection. Okay, so let's imagine that then the next connection is not exactly the same connection. It's similar, but maybe we can have different data, or a different scenario. For example, this guy here. Okay, this guy here, it's quite similar, but we have in this case one pin in the other side. So we have this one, the pink one, and the blue one. Okay, or it's the same situation that we have here. Okay, or maybe in the other side. Okay, here, this one, for example, is not modeled yet. We can see that the node was generated, but we cannot see the details of the plates or the welds. It's not modeled yet. It's just the node that is available here, waiting to receive a model. Okay, so if I edit this guy, I don't have this connection, exactly this connection in my library yet. We have something similar, but we don't have this connection yet. Okay, the new feature is that I can use part of the operations that were created to a similar connection to start working in a different connection. This is the new feature that we implemented here in this version. Okay, so let's use that other connection that we've created before to create this one that is a little bit more complex. Okay, so I will import something here. As you can see, the list of operations here it's empty. Okay, so I will import one of the connections that I have. In this list, I can see some of the connections that have this green check symbol. If I deactivate this option, I can also see some of them that have this red symbol. Okay, what it means? If there is a red symbol, it means it's impossible to use the information from this connection to the connection you are trying to use, because it's too different. Okay, so don't try it because it's going to be impossible. We are talking about geometries totally different with much more elements. If you mark this option, you have the green options with elements that could be useful to your connection, but you must use it with attention. Okay, in that case, we created that connection that was my connection. So we have this situation. Okay, let's use it. I will accept, and the software will open this option here. So in one side, I have the connection that is in my library. Okay, so I can see here, library. Okay, this connection, the elements of this connection, they are also here in this list. In the library, we have V1, P2, and P1. Okay, V1, V2, and P1. And then in this side, I have the node or the connection that is in my model. So here I have the node. Oh, in this case, here in this case, we have one more bar. Okay, no problem. What I will start doing is I will select the V1 of my library, and I will assign the V1 to my library to the V1 of my model. So the V1 of my library is the V1 of my node. The V2 of my library is going to be the V3 of my node. So the V2 is going to be the V3. Okay, and the P1 will still be the P1. So P1, it's P1. Okay, so with this assign, I'm trying to get this plate, these bolts, these welds, and put in the same position that I have in this part of my library in this node. But of course, it will be missing the parts related to the V2. Then we can do another time the same situation and try to get also the information to V2. Don't worry about that. So let's accept, and let's see what happens. The first thing that I can see that some operations were created, and these operations adjusted the profiles, add the plates, the bolts, the welds to V1, V3, and P1. So part of our model, it's already created, and we are using information from a different connection. Okay, it wasn't the same connection. Let's keep going. So let's now try to do the same situation to the other part. Okay, of course, part of these elements are common. So actually this part in the middle related to the V3, if we import exactly the same connection again, they will be duplicated. But there is not a problem, because then we can add or delete or edit operations. And I'm sure that's going to be much easier to use some operations that were created before than create everything again, adding detail by detail. Okay, so let's import again. I will import in this case the same connection again, no problem. Okay, and I will mark this option here, keep previously defined operations. What it means, if I not mark this one, all the operations that I've introduced before, they will be deleted and new operations will be created. So actually what we will have, it's going to be not the left side of my connection, but just the right side. What I want to do is to merge both sides. Okay, so to merge operations or to accumulate the list of operations, I must maintain this option selected. Okay, so I will do that. And in this case, I will use the same situation. I will put my library like this and my library like this. Okay, so let's check here. V1 of my library, in this case, it's not the V1 of my node, because this is already done. So this is going to be the V2. V2 of my library, it's going to be the V3 of my model. So this line is correct. And P1 is still with the P1. So it's correct. So let's accept. And let's see what happened. Boom. Here we have these elements created here in the V2 part, the V2 bar in this connection. We have some problems here, some clashes, because when we introduced the second action or the second part or the second time, part of the elements of V3 were also introduced again. So probably we have here some elements that are duplicated, like the bolts are they are two actions or two operations of introducing bolts, or two adjustments of the V3, or two adjustments of the plate, or two plates in the same place, or two section trims in this case. So some of these operations were not needed because they were too much. But as you saw before, with just some clicks, I deleted the operations that were not necessary, and I transformed one connection that was created with 2 bins in a connection with 3 bins with just some clicks. Okay, so that's That's very useful. That's going to increase your productivity, because you don't have to create this node again, or this connection again, step by step. Of course, that from this point you can export this is as a new connection. So my new connection 2, for example, and it's going to be available now in your library, and then you can keep going, keep using this connection in different parts of your project. Okay, I hope this example was easy to understand, but the main idea of this new feature is that you can use operations of other connections that were already created and that are available in your library, and then adapt it according to the need of your connection. One thing that is quite nice is that some of these options can be applied to different type of sections. So depending on how you created your section, maybe you have a totally different type of section, and you can also use this option to try to get part of the operations. Okay, especially when we are talking about welded connections. So maybe you can try it with different type of sections. Of course, it depends on the complexity of these connections, but in most cases you can use part of the operations, and it's going to be easier to work like that. Okay. Yeah, let's just accept it, and the model is going to be loaded here in our node. The sections will be adjusted, and we have one more connection, and that is part of our project available here in our model. And like this, we will do with others, and then export our model, detailed model.